Good evening. Greetings, everyone. And welcome to Community Update 313. I'm your host, Michelle White, and my co host, Robert White. What's up, Rob? All the way from Texas, and I'm in Michigan.
What up, though? We like to have a lot of fun. We also like to be informative, which is why we call it Community Update 313. We appreciate you all for staying tuned. We have a really good guest today. So who do we have up today?
We've got Pastor Mike Robinson. And Pastor Mike Robinson, we like to share stories about people who have done phenomenal things, come from one aspect of life, and they're moving on to do other things. I like one of the topics said, "Hi, Pastor Mike."
How you doing? And first and foremost, I'm very grateful and excited to be amongst Community Update 313. And I'm glad to be here with you all, Brother Rob and Minister Michelle.
Thank you. We are excited to have you on. Is everybody there?
Thank you.
Okay. What's going on? Okay, so what we want to do is we really just want to get into your life, what you've been doing, what's brought you to this point. I've been doing some research on you. You got a whole situation of past, prior up until this point. Now you're a pastor. You're in movies. You're doing a lot, man.
So, guys, we came on a little bit behind today. I'm having a little audio trouble being able to hear our guest today, but we're so glad to have Pastor Mike Robinson, who is from Detroit, Michigan. He was raised on the streets of Detroit and indirectly was groomed to be a hustler and a drug dealer by his father. Young Michael Robinson led a life of violence, selling drugs and alcohol abuse, ultimately spending 78 months in the federal penitentiary. But he sought approval in all the wrong places to discover that it is available through the Father who paid the ultimate price through the shed blood of Jesus Christ. That's what I'm talking about. And so Pastor Mike has written a phenomenal, he's an author of a book called My Father's Blood. And so he's going to be sharing that with us this evening. And another quote that is, when I was looking at his website, it says, "Real men make mistakes." And if we look at throughout the Bible, everybody in there was making mistakes. God didn't even use no perfect people. The only perfect person in the Bible was Jesus. That's it. So we're going to be talking to Pastor Mike, who's going to share some of the challenges that he has had and how he has come through those challenges and turned what the enemy meant for bad all towards his good with a phenomenal book, phenomenal play, My Father's Blood. Again, welcome, Pastor Mike Robinson. And I know we're still working on some audio things. Hopefully everyone can hear me well.
Yep, everything's good.
Everything's perfect. Yes.
Well, so Rob, you're gonna have to help me because I can't hear you all.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, as a child from birth to like 10 and a half years old, I had chronic asthma. I was back and forth in the hospital, and actually my lungs collapsed on one occasion. I almost died on several occasions as a kid. If I ran from my house to the house next door, I was going to be down at Children's Hospital. So I was at the hospital at least once a week for 10 and a half years. I was admitted for at least once a month during that time. And they didn't have the paraphernalia they have now to help, you be cured from asthma. But nevertheless, during that particular time, I created this great relationship with my mom. I was a mom's boy. And my dad, he was an athlete. He can play baseball, football, basketball. He could box. He could do it all. And he had 3 boys, and he wanted all 3 of us to be great athletes. But I was the one, I believe I was missing in action during that time because I always had to go to the hospital. So he more so invested in my other 2 brothers, and I was the middle son. Nevertheless, my dad, he was a flat-footed hustler as well. He worked at Chrysler, but when I say flat-footed hustler, that's a term that they know how to shoot dice, they know how to shoot pool, they know how to cards, but they never sold drugs, you know. So that's the kind of guy. He had after-hour joints and all that. But in the meantime and in between time, he was physically and verbally abusive to my mom. So by me being a mama's boy, I'm always trying to find a way to defend her. And our relationship just took a nosedive. And my mother, she came to a conclusion when I was 10 years old, almost 11, and I'm going to leave this guy, you know. So she took my baby brother, she moved to Ohio, and my father got her back a couple years later through avenue of the church. So now we back as a family, and my dad is a deacon in the church. He never hit her again, but he was still verbally abusive to her.
Gotcha.
So that's
wonderful. I'm glad you guys are back together again, and relationship, you know, has been restored.
Right. Well, you know, from those years in the church, me and my dad's relationship began to go even further down because he would use the word is bibliomancy. Bibliomancy means I can use the scriptures to control you. So he began to use that against my mom. And I was 16 and a half, 17 years old. My dad put me out the house. And I had to find some place to stay. Only place I knew is I had a couple cousins. They sold drugs for the Young Boys Incorporated. So I just went to, you know, I'm a kid with a kid's mind. So I went and found one of the spots and asked them, could I just stay here? I don't want to sell no drugs because, you know, I'm scared to go to jail. I don't want to get caught up in nothing. I just want to find a place to stay till I get on my feet some kind of way. And just so happened, those places was the Brewster Projects, the Jeffrey Projects, Highland Park, and, you know, the most impoverished places in Detroit at the time.
I'll say you were in the sticks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So my job became, I get $2 off a bundle of heroin. I get $2 to take the syringe and shoot people in veins that they can't find on their own. So I got to shoot them in the neck, backside, the body, and it's not like they can't even take no shower to get drugs. Came to conclude, I'm going to have to learn how to sell stuff, or even going to be on it, I'm going to be dead. So my conclusion was to start viewing it from a different lens. So now I'm looking at it from a hustler's perspective. I got to learn how to do this, you know, if I want to get out this spot. I know this don't make sense, but I'm going to try to make it make sense. I became, and please don't condemn me because I know what I'm about to say don't make sense, but I'm going to try to make it make sense. I became a successful drug dealer. So how can you put success doing something illegal? But, you know,
if you were good at it, you were good at
it. And then once you see that money coming in, you kind of addicted there. You know what I'm saying? You can't just walk away from it then. So that's how my earlier life was. And, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff, especially in those joints. I've seen people OD. I've seen, you know, back then when I was in the streets, those, they called them dope fiends. I don't call them dope fiends, but those addicts, man, they'll stick you up, they'll kill you. You know, they was very vicious back in those days, you know. So you had to learn how to protect yourself. And I seen drugs from ground zero level to a higher pinnacle, you know, and I didn't know God had his hand on my life back then, you know, and there was times that I would go to the phone booth crying, talking to my mom, why don't you tell him, let me come back home? And then she said, I'm praying for you, he ain't gonna let you come back. And I would go back to the drug house and boss up and act like I'm a gangster, right?
Yeah. After you got done crying, things go.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I really had this little kid in me, like, I want to go home. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying?
Question for you, Pastor.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Question for you. What's something, because in my imagination, right, I can only imagine. I saw the drug life, and it just wasn't a thing that I wanted to get into.
Right,
But being in that position, what's something that made you want to say, you know what? Or even how did you get out of that and then go, hey, I'm about to drop this and pick this up? Because I do know a lot of them. And that's a hard transition because you are providing for people's lives now. And so when you want to stop selling, they're like, oh, no, buddy, you need to keep going because we need to hit this and we need to hit that. And I got mouths to feed. So how did that work in that transition?
Well, actually, when I was 15 years old, I knew God called me to preach, but I was afraid of the faces, like how Jeremiah was. I'm scared to talk to the people, right? So I felt I was too young. Ain't nobody gonna listen to nobody, a kid trying to talk to some adults, telling them how to get their life transition, right? So nevertheless, I had that in me. And I tell you a story. It was a few times I would get drunk at late hours and I'd be around my friends and I knew stories. I didn't know the Bible, but I could preach stories to people. They like, man, you probably called to be a preacher one day. You know, I was hooping and hollering back then, you know.
While you drunk.
Yeah. So you asked how did I make the transition? In 1985, I'm 61. In 1985, my older brother, he began to sell drugs, and he was 2 years older than me. I was 20, he was 22. We got shot 7 times in the face with a 45, lost his life. 5 years later, me and my mom was going to get something to eat, and I got shot 5 times, once in the head, once in the chest, twice in the arm, once in the foot. And actually, I laid on top of my mom because I didn't want nothing to happen to her, and I just felt I was going to lose my life. And thank God, I guess God sent the angel lay on top of both of us, right? So nevertheless, So nevertheless, I went to penitentiary the next year, and I was really wild in prison. I weighed 150 pounds wet. I'm 6 feet tall, and I looked around. I said, well, this is my address. I got to make the best out of this thing here. You know what I'm saying? And I went to the federal institution. I did maximum security and supermax penitentiaries. But the thing that made me turn my life around when I got out, and I put emphasis that I went to the federal institution because I met a cartel from South America. And he was going to give me what the plan was for me to get up to a level where he can give me 1,000 kilos of cocaine a week. And in my mind, I'm thinking of, I'm going to build these high rises. I'm going to do all this kind of stuff. I was with a friend of mine trying to grind up on some show money. I told my friend, man, if you help me grind up on 150,000 right quick, show this Colombian that we got some money to work with. We can work this thing, right? And the feds was looking for my friend. So every time they was taking pictures of him, just so happened I was in the picture.
You in the picture, right?
I guess they did the research. This guy just got out. You know what I'm saying? So they raided my mom's house, and that was my turning point when I was handcuffed. And I tell you a true story. I know this sounds crazy, but at that time of my life, I didn't do enough time. I didn't do the time that could transition my life. You know what I'm saying? So when they raided my mom's house, that was the wake-up call. I was handcuffed on my mom's sofa, and I was, Lord, if you get me out of this time, I'm finished with it. Because now I'm seeing penitentiary again, you know, and I said, no, I don't want to go through all this with my life. I don't want to take my mom through it again, and you know what I'm saying? So that was my turning point, and I never looked back, man.
It seems like you had, like, because your mom is very important, like you said, you know, you were like, hey, even when I thought I was dying, I covered my mother so nothing happened to her. And then when you got caught by yourself, you're like, all right, I can do this. But then getting caught in your mom's house, and you're like,
and that was embarrassing too. You know, my mother wasn't there, neither was my dad there. And I think my dad let me stay there for a couple months when I first came home. And this happened within like 5 months of me coming out of penitentiary. And my mother and father came home. I'm really embarrassed. I mean, I got my head in the sand because of the simple fact I'm like, I got all these cars on my mama's drive, front line, and all the neighbors. They think they nice people, and oh my God.
Yeah.
So I just feel like awful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And your dad was still pastoring at the time, right?
No, my father was a deacon. He wasn't a pastor.
A deacon, I'm sorry. But he was a deacon at the time.
And the integrity of them was like way up here. And I never brought trouble to my parents' house. I mean, it was only like 3 guys in the streets even knew I had a mother and father, because I never wanted to make association like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And man, that day, that's when I just gave it over, man. I said, I quit, God, if you help me. And I really thought an indictment, I know you're familiar some kind of way of how the federal government operate. I really was thinking down the road, the indictment going to come back on me, right? But once the statute of limitations flew on, I was, Lord, I'm free for real. Yes, man. So God really, right? And I'll tell you the truth. I don't care how nobody look at it. I just throw this out here. I was scared straight. Said I don't want to go back in those walls again. You know.
A true story for you, Pastor. I went to Scared Straight when I was in 9th grade.
Oh wow!
And it was probably the most eye-opening thing. But to your point, it wasn't eye-opening enough, because then myself and my cousins, we had got into some stuff, and we lived in the suburbs. And we're out in Walled Lake, and we have cops with guns on us, like we did, like we were real killers or something.
Right.
We weren't. We were suburb kids who didn't know anything about none of that. We saw it on the movie. We painted our guns because we thought we were in Dead Presidents. We were trying to be something that we weren't. And this moment when they all literally stopped in rush hour traffic on Walnut Lake and Drake, where there was one Rite Aid, and it was 2002 or something like that. And it was the most scary moment that we had. And the guy that was the tough guy and the drug dealer and all this stuff, he was the guy that told on all of us, because we were like, all right, let's just not say anything. We were like, let's not say anything, because he had all the stuff. And we were going to go beat up this guy because he had done some racial stuff to one of our cousins, and said all the profanity and all the N-words and everything towards him. And we were like, we can go show this guy a lesson. We didn't know the guy that was with us had a gun, right? And he throws it out right on the curb as the police are following us. And it was like, oh my God. So they literally put a barricade. They stopped rush hour traffic. We're trying to be quiet. And then the officers go and say, hey, the guys that we know, you guys aren't like that. The guy that you're trying to protect told on all of you and had it recorded. And we were like, I was like, oh yeah, no, he did it. This guy, I'll tell you his first, middle, and last name. But it was at that point we had to go and go in front of the judge, and we didn't have to. We were young. We had to go in front of the judge, and that was it for me. I was like, oh no, I can't go in jail. I got
Thank you, God.
He said, no, not me. It just wasn't a thing that I wanted to do. It wasn't something I wanted to experience. Thank God I didn't have to do any probation, nothing that put my name. I didn't have to do fingerprints or anything like that. So I was like, Lord, thank you. I don't want to be in anybody's system for anything other than the good book of life. That's the only time I want my name to be down. I was like, no, I'm gonna leave that to all the real guys, all the OGs. Y'all can take it.
So we're familiar. YBI was Young Boys Incorporated, which was a very big gang in the 70s, I think the 80s and 90s, right? Maybe the 70s, but definitely, they were around in the late 70s and 80s and 90s. Is that correct?
And 80s.
Yeah, 70s
they
and
died
80s.
Out like probably the late 80s, but I'm listening to you.
But so from that experience, let me ask you this. I can know sometimes when you're in the midst of things, when you're in the streets, people see God in you. So did you just have a clean cut, God, if you get me out of this, and you got away from all of that and step? Sometimes we have to leave people who are our good friends, people that we love, have connections with.
Yes,
But
yes,
when we
yes.
want to make another turn in another directions, we have to leave all that cut cold turkey. Love you, but gotta go. Can't change you. I can only change me. Is that your experience?
Well, yes, it was. I had a job at the airport, and this was in '98. And I was making $8 an hour. So I was driving. My mom would let me drive her car to the airport, and my pager kept going off, and I knew it was somebody from the street, so I was ignoring it. And the devil kept talking to my mind. He was telling me, "You made a $5 bill and 3 singles for a whole hour, right?" So I'm, at the thrusting floor, like maybe I should just quit this stuff and leave it alone. And a friend called me. I stopped at the phone booth one time on the way to the airport, and a friend called me, and he told me these exact words. He said, "Mike, man, I got some ways we can get some money, man, and I know you need some." And I say, "No, man." He said, "No, we can get back with the government." And I said, "What is it?" He said, "I got 2 plates. They $5, $10 bill plates." He said, "I make like $20,000 a week with counterfeit money." And he said, "If you help me, man, we can make 40,000 because it's real taxing, and we can split down the middle." And I was on that phone, and I said, "Man, when I told you if God ain't in it, I ain't with it, man." I just hung that phone.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to, but it's like I
you
made
got to make a
an
decision.
oath to God. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, and I just said I can't. It's a lot of things we can play with, but we don't want to play with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So I just was just going away from everything. And like Minister Michelle said, I left friends, I left everything. It's just like about the last 5 or 6 years that I start actually going back and minister to certain people that I stepped away from. I didn't see nobody in the past, but it's not
You
that I
need
was
that
being
time.
funny or so.
No,
I needed that to
you
help
needed that
you know
time.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you can go
So
back and minister them and not
yeah,
be subjected to the same temptations. You didn't want any
exactly.
temptations. Yeah. So,
Because I can handle them. You know what I'm saying?
so you were able to get the money from to help make the movie, which is showing now on Tubi, and is it on other platforms as well, Pastor Mike? It's on Tubi.
It's on. I think it's on. I know it's on Tubi, but I think it's on Amazon Prime too. I know it was.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still on there, but I know definitely it's on Tubi. And I think it's one thing I love about the movie, and I'm not saying this because the movie is about my life, but what I really love about it, the director, which is an amazing guy named Joe Smith, I think he did an excellent job because the way he set it up, he didn't glorify drugs and he didn't glorify the streets. And a lot of these movies, it kind of glorified, make people look like, yeah, I was this big boss, man. I was the shot call and all that. But they show you that you can get killed in this stuff. You can get shot up. You can go to penitentiary. You can be at that phone booth like I was crying. Mama, please let me come home. And you follow what I'm saying? So he put the emphasis on that. And not to give too much about the movie, but how it started off, it was a young lady brought her son into the office to talk to me as a pastor. And her son was a hothead. He was off the hook. But at the end of the movie, the son was like, yeah, Pastor, thanks for talking to me. I'm going to come to the church. And, so it's a message. It's a lot of messages in it. Yeah. And, I don't want to name nobody's movie. I don't want to try to put shade on nobody, but you know how these movies is. It make you look like, wow, I should sell drugs too then. You know what I'm saying?
Almost glorifying.
Yeah.
As opposed to just using it as, hey, this was a lesson to be learned, not that you should be a drug dealer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's what we did in the streets. Like you got younger people. We made drug industry look like it's a good thing to get into. You know what I'm saying? And that's the wrong message we're telling these people. And if I knew back then, what I know now, I never would have ever sold any drugs to anyone because what those people was getting us to do is destroy our own community, and we just didn't know it.
That's one of the things too. I especially it's big in the music industry because that's our number one. Like all of our big players come from the music industry or the entertainment, just all the way around. And that's the thing that's always glorified. And my issue with it is it's not because there aren't people. There's a guy, he goes by LaRussell, and he's a positive rapper. And he used to talk about it, and he was like, hey, it's crazy that lyrically I'm better than a lot of people, but because I don't talk about killing and, going to meet up with my baby mom or going to go shoot nobody, people don't want to hear it. And I've talked to people that are my peers, and they go, I mean, I get it. It's positive, but I don't want to hear positive rap. I do want to hear about the shootings and the killings and the stabbings. And I'm like, yeah, but you do understand that most people are following, and I say this so unapologetically, most people follow Black culture. I was literally playing the video game with my son. And there was a guy, he was a Middle Eastern guy, and his guy that was on the NBA game was a Black guy with the fade, with earrings and a do-rag and some Timbs on. And he was telling us that we didn't have culture. I said, man, you're literally dressed like a Black guy in a video game. That's who you wanted to be. You could have been anybody you wanted to be, and you made yourself a Black guy. The problem is that culture narrative, we don't make money off of it, number one. Number two, it's a very skewed narrative because usually when you see somebody there, the guys that are successful, they move away from it because they know how much they had to risk to even get there. And you have a lot of people, especially when I was growing up, two people specifically, their dads were drug dealers. And they stopped selling drugs. They found a way to flip it so they could make it positive. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but they did it. And they said, hey, I don't want you to do this. I'm going to put you out here so you don't have to worry about selling drugs and doing anything that I did. But for some reason, it was like, no, we don't want to go to a prestigious school. We want to go back to the hood and sell and sell weed on Joy Road. It's like, why? Why do you need to do that? But it's just because it's popularized. And if you're a guy, it's going to get you women, it's going to get you money, and it's quick money. Or, like when you get up to that level that you're talking about, you go, all right, well, I can either work for somebody who's going to talk about me, who's going to treat me terrible. I got to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, or I can do something. Yeah, I'm gonna risk my life, but I can make 50,000, or would you say 40,000 just from doing some counterfeit cash. And when you look at options, those options seem to dwindle down, so you understand why people do it. You go, well, you won't give me the manager position, as a Black man, I have to be extra special in order for you to consider me regular. So now, where am I stuck at? I'm either going to sell drugs, I'm going to be good at sports, or I'm going to be regular, or just the everyday citizen, middle class, which sucks for that individual because you're not in the space to be successful.
Question, gentlemen. I have a question, gentlemen.
It's funny.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you, gentlemen, you all as men that have children or around youth, how are some of the ways that you can move youth away from just thinking that their only options are a sport or drugs, or just having women in the streets and that limelight that appears to be a limelight? How do you help move them away? And I know you have a youth program, and I know you work with youth too, Rob, and I know Pastor Mike, you have a youth program. How do you all move them away from that type of thinking? Because there are a lot of young people nowadays who are making money on the internet. They're making money with stocks and things at a young age. You can get stocks at a cheaper rate before you're 18, and teaching young people how to invest early. But what are some of the things that you all do?
Let me chime in really quick, Pastor. Mine is short, and then I'll let you conclude it, okay? You brought up a really good point because you're talking about like social media and how people have gone up in that way. But let me give you another step. What's one of the biggest ways that people look at social media? It's salacious content. It's who has their booty who's going to act like I'm about to rob you and then say, psych, I got you. You know, those are the things that actually make the highlight.
Right.
It's easy to do because all you need is one of these. You have a phone, and now all of a sudden you're a director in the film, and it's 4K. So now, if I don't have any money or I have no knowledge or any know-how, my parents didn't grow up doing stocks, so why would I know about stocks? Actually, people tell you, hey, don't even fool around with that stuff. That's our community. They go, oh no, that's the devil, but then we'll go to MGM and then blow it the same way, which is still a gamble, right? But when you look at that, you go, how do I make it happen? Well, as a Black man, honestly, when I look at a lot of the reasons that we did stuff when we were younger, it was about women. It was like, what's going to make me look cool in front of the girls?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
so if when women stop liking the bad boy and they go, oh, you know what, the nerd is cool, you'll get more nerds. We do a lot of things because
I thought the nerds were cool when I was younger. And well, that's not true. That's not true.
I know.
But the nerds are the millionaires today.
Yeah,
exactly.
You like them later. You like them later on when you've been beat down by the other guy. And I'm not blaming women by it. I'm just saying the younger generation, we do things because our friends go, yeah, man, you did. Yeah, man, you just shot that guy. And it's like, yeah, as opposed to, yeah, man, you stayed in class and you were in the front and you got straight A's. We talk about people that are in school all day. You go, man, you should have skipped with us. You stayed. Oh, you lame.
And you know, it's that lame guy. I was talking to a friend of mine just about a month ago about the same topic. And he did 32 years in penitentiary, right? And he was very violent when he was out here and everything. But my point is, we was just having a very warm conversation, and we came up to the conclusion, man, those guys who you call nerds, those Urkels, I say they really had that bag, and they getting that bag now. You know, we thought that we supposed to be throwing curveballs to the penitentiary, and this is a good way to stay down the street from a judge or a lawyer. But at the same token, those guys that we looked at was nerds. They really had it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were getting that book knowledge.
I have a nephew. He's 17. He's in 11th grade. He may make all city. Now he'll definitely make all state next year. He's 6'4". He's potentially should get like 6'7". But my brother, which is his father, was coaching him when he was younger, and he was on I think a 10 or 12 and under team, 12 and under. Yeah. And one of his colleagues, he tore his ACL, right? And then when he got it, he set out for the year. When he got rehabilitated, he ended up tearing his Achilles. Same kid, right? And I told my brother, I say, this is why we can't allow these kids to have their main focus. I'm going to be a pro. You follow what I'm saying? They have to have a plan B. Well, actually, professional basketball should be your plan B. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And because what is it? 300 people in the league. I mean, it's a long shot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I want you to enjoy life. I want you to play and get as far as you can. But I guess the real lesson is that you play ball, get you a scholarship, so you can get that degree. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
There's a guy. Huey P. Newton had a thing on. It was in the 80s. It was after Martin Luther King's birthday. And there was a doctor that was on with him, and he gave all these stats. And he said, you know, when we feel like we are not equipped educationally or academically as far as curriculum goes, right? Because we know that that's a big thing. Yes, we have schools, but the curriculum is different. They'll have updated books, and you have the curriculum from 1978. You got the second edition, right? That you're still trying to learn on. But the doctor made a great point. He said, if you focus all your things on sports, well, then that's what you'll be good at. If you focus all your things on going to the library, that's what you'll be good at. So what you do most is what you'll do best. And I love that that saying, because I was like, oh, you know what? It's really true. I feel like they need to bring back more trades, because trades are a really good thing. You may not be the best mathematician, but if you can fix you can have a plumbing job and be 6 figures. You could have you know, you could become an electrician in 6 figures. and they don't think
Real
about it
estate.
that way because it sounds like
Heating and
work.
cooling. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can just
And
learn a
that's
different language. You can literally learn a
so-
different. You can learn a different language and translate, and be
Yeah.
a 6 figures person. And 6 figures is not everything, but that's what people, that's what we glorify. 6 figures, and then the $1 million mark, and that minority mind is like, that's when we thought we made it, as opposed to the process in between. It's really, like you said, Pastor, it's the mindset that you have before you even get there. The guy that was a millionaire, or that's a millionaire now, had the mindset when he was in high school. Hey, this is what I'm going to do along the way. Yeah.
And to Minister Michelle's point is, I use my testimony as a gate to get into the door. But I oftentimes do motivational speaking, and I oftentimes write 10 little simple math equations on the board, right? 7 plus 2 equals 9, 4 plus 5 equals 9, 8 plus 3 equals 11, and I get 9 of them right, and I mess one up purposely, right? And they start giggling and laughing. You follow what I'm saying? And I say, what's so funny? And they say, Dad, 6 plus 3, that don't equal 14, And I say, but you focus on one mistake. And I got 90% of these things right. I said, we all gonna make them, but let's focus on what we can do positive, So
So Pastor Mike, I like where you said real men make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You said, but what actually defines a real man is what you do after you've made your mistakes. And this is what you're doing after you made your mistakes. You have a wonderful book, My Father's Blood. There's now also a movie that's on Tubi and Amazon Prime, and go to YouTube and find out the places it's at. So My Father's Blood is a memoir detailing your journey from being a troubled youth. And you happen to be a troubled youth in the streets of Detroit, but many people are troubled youth from every counties, every state has an area where there's some troubled youth. And it's not just Black, it's all cultures. And I serve in the prisons here in Michigan. I serve in Huron Valley Women's Prison and in Macomb County Correctional Facility Men's Prison. And one time, I even now very rarely, and I've been doing prison ministry for over 20 years. I actually started when I was 17, so a long time.
Go
here. I ran into one guy who was a Chinese guy. One. I don't see no Chinese people in prison. But I said, you're not supposed to ask, but what are you in here for? What did you do? And I had to ask this guy because you just don't see them. You don't see Asians. At least I didn't. Did you see any Asians, Pastor? In prison? Did you see many Asians in prison? Pastor Mike?
I think he's still in the he's there, but
okay. So I saw this one guy and I asked him, what did you do? And he said, I murdered somebody. I said, oh, okay. He told me. But we want people to be sure and go to YouTube, see where My Father's Blood is being played. And we know for sure it's on Tubi. And if you don't have Tubi is a download that you can download for free and watch many films. And this film is going to explore the themes of rejection, the search for approval in the streets, and finding purpose through a spiritual transformation with a movie adaptation in the works.
Yeah.
So where can people also go to get your book, My Father's Blood? Where can they go to get that as well, Pastor Mike?
They can go to my website and get it. It's MikeCRobinson.com, MikeCRobinson.com. Also wrote this book. I lost my mom in 2023, right, in July. And that was the biggest frustration in my entire world, right?
Hold that book up again. Hold it up.
Okay.
For us, please. What's the name of that one?
Dear Mama.
Dear Mama.
Dear Mama. Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
I stole
Turn
it
into a
from I
tree.
stole the name from Tupac, right?
Yeah,
but never, but
I was about to start
nevertheless,
rapping for you, Pastor. I was about to start rapping the lyrics. The song.
right. But I wrote that book in 18 days. I was just
Mhm.
depressed, and I was just writing a lot of things that, if I could write you a letter, Ma, it'd be this, and it'd be this. And and I said, I can make a book out of this.
Yeah.
So but
So for those people that want to make a book and do like you did and turn their pain into purpose, turn their pain into power, how did you take a book from just writing a letter in 18 days and turn it into a book? Did you self-publish? Did you use a publishing company? Did you have
I do.
relationship with the company?
No, I met a lady. She's a doctor, Dr. DeAndrea Matthews. She teach at Wayne State. And I got messed over, jerked around, kicked to the curb like about 5 times. I put my material in somebody's hands, and you sitting at the coffee shop looking at them eyeball, and they liking you, and you trying to handle business, and then you don't go for the bait, so they cut you off and go something, right? So that happened to me on several occasions. And I met this lady, and her integrity is off the chain. Every time I met her, she brought a husband with her, and she really handled business. And the it's Clary, I didn't forget, it's Clary Productions. That's who published it. And I mean, she's A1, and I'm giving her a shout out. Dr. DeAndrea Matthews. She is top flight, one shop stop. She edited, she published, she do everything. So I just thank God that God allowed, and she saved. So I'm glad that God allowed me to meet her.
Well, God, like you said, God was ordering your steps all the time. Even when you were in the wilderness and going through those
Yes.
experiences, God knew that He had a purpose and a plan and how He was going to use it, and He's still using you. So you pastor the Ypsilanti Community Church, which is another area here outside of the Detroit metropolitan area, which many people know Michigan for Detroit, but we're on around the country, around the world. And so Ypsilanti is a suburb of the Detroit community. And so you pastor Ypsilanti Community Church currently. And are you the senior pastor of this church? Are you the senior pastor?
It's catching up. Yep, he is.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And then you have a Epic Mentorship Youth Program. Tell us about your youth program, Pastor,
Yes.
and the times of your church so people can come and visit, or
Well, I
if
go
you're
to
online.
Yes, I am online. Ypsilanti Community Church. We come on every Sunday at 12, but our church started 11:30 a.m. on Sundays. And I'll tell you this, God graced me, Minister Michelle, to the point where we seen blind eyes open in our church. We seen deaf ears open.
Praise
Many
God.
people jumped out of wheelchairs. People have got healed from stage 3, 4 cancer.
Wow.
God has done some amazing
Amen.
things. We actually was having a healing service once a month for
Mhm.
years, but COVID came,
Signs
so
and
now we
wonders are following. Awesome.
yes, it's a
Yes.
sign
Yes.
outside our church say this is where miracles happen, and
Yeah.
God has really graced us and blessed us, and I just thank God for God how He moved in that ministry.
Mhm.
I've seen it all, and I just
So
thank
people
God.
can
He
go to
actually take the faith.
YouTube. So they can go to YouTube and put in Ypsilanti Community Church and find you there.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. And then tell us about your Epic Mentorship Youth Program.
I go to
And how you
Chicago
chose it.
twice a month.
How did you choose the name Epic? I'm sorry. How did you choose the name Epic?
Empowering people in crisis, right?
Oh, I love
And
that.
I thank God that He used me to I go to a few schools here to do motivational speaking and mentor the young people, but I really made a have kind of name for myself in Chicago, Illinois. I go to the Michelle Obama and the Barack Obama schools twice a month, every month. So God is really blessed. Sometimes they're trouble kids, sometimes they're not as bad, but God has used me. And I just thank God now that I have a testimony where I can kind of get their attention. You know, I faced life on 3 different occasions, and thank God God brought me through it, you know, and I never told on nobody on Rob. So
Hey,
what do they call it? Crying to snitching,
yeah.
crying like a baby.
And snitches didn't have ditches in my day. Robert, snitches, they was in ditches.
They didn't get stitches. They got in ditches.
They was in ditches, right?
I tried to go by the rule, Pastor, but when I heard him snitch on me, I said, "Oh, no."
Yeah, you know. And I was telling a friend of mine, the same friend, I was telling him, I said, you can't, if we were to try to say, you can't sell drugs now because everybody you know what I'm saying?
All the real people are dead or in jail. I'd rather be,
yeah.
You can keep me out of it. I'm good with that.
But
thank God both of you are not dead or in jail, and God is moving mighty in your lives. And there's so many men that are good men that are sitting in our prisons, and good women that are sitting in our prisons. And I'm glad to be a part of helping them to come out. And then when they come out, we have a foundation called the White Charity Foundation, spelled WYTE, where we help put furniture, beds, tables, chairs in their home. And we got a mattress right now that we're getting ready to give to a young man that's only been home for a few days. And so there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of work all over, in whatever city, state that people are in and listening. There is a lot of work, and people want to donate to the White Charity Foundation. Is WYTE Foundation.com, WYTE Foundation.com. And if people want to come and visit the Ypsilanti Community Church, you go to YouTube and type in Ypsilanti Community Church. Their services, they come online at 12, but they start at 11:30. And this is a church where the pastor is letting us know that signs and wonders are following. There are real people that are real healers that God is using, where they can touch you, and healing is genuinely taking place. I ain't talking about the fake people. There's a lot of them too. But there's real things that are happening. God is still alive and kicking, just like and moving, doing miracles. And so we thank you, Pastor Michael Robinson, for all that you're doing within the communities, because you've taken it to Chicago and many states to follow, I'm sure. And tell us something that you want to and then we don't want to leave out the Epic Mentorship Youth Program. How do people get in touch with you for the youth program? And then tell us something that you want to let youth know before we go.
That God have a purpose for their life, and oftentimes they do need somebody to mentor them, to counsel them outside of their parents. And I'm not saying that anybody, they need someone that's doing something positive, who can actually pour life, to encourage them and give. That's what our young people need today. But they also need somebody that's willing to listen to them, because they do have story.
I know one of the things that Robert does with his family, they have meetings.
And Epic Mentorship. And Epic Mentorship, we encourage people to write a vision board. I did it myself, and actually in the last 2 years, I accomplished everything I put on that vision board. So, because I'm literally seeing it, you know what I'm saying? And I say this not to be boastful, not to be prideful, but I say this from my heart. It's like this year, Minister Michelle, I really feel in my heart like I'm making a difference in the community. I'm really helping someone.
I love that.
And I say that because time when I was being hurtful and painful to the community, I just thank God that God is now using me and gave me a second chance to be a blessing to the people that's around. And I really thank God for that.
I think one of the good things about having a pastor who has that type of conviction is it takes away a lot of condemning, right? They say, well, the Bible says there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus, right? But a lot of times when there's a pastor who hasn't come from any type, not, like a real struggle, like, yeah, you may have gotten in trouble like everybody else, but you come from like a real struggle, it takes away because you have a humility in your heart that says, listen, brother, I've been there. And I think a lot of times that is the thing that sticks in, because now I'm not judging you for where you were, because I was there too, right? Or I know what it is to be in that situation. And I really pray that the church turns away this, like the Pharisees. We're so caught up in the religious
Jesus
that we miss Jesus in the moment. It's like, that's why he said, do away with the laws of Moses. Those things ain't helping you. You failed those too. Just love God with all your heart.
Do it no way.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself, but above all, just love. If you do those things only, you will trickle down by not killing anybody. You don't want to lie to yourself, so you're not gonna lie. Those things happen anyway. But if you would just remove all the, whatever new sin it is of the decade that we want to condemn, if you just remove that, people would actually come to you for help. That's why people lie. How are you doing today? Great. You know why? Because we know nobody wants to hear how we're actually doing. If you said you were struggling, you know what I'm saying? So like, we actually have to have a heart that is out for the poor. It said, bring me your tire, bring me all the things that you have problems, and then we're going to show you how to cast your cares upon the Lord. But I can't just tell you that and say, oh, just trust this guy. I don't know him. You do. It's like, I don't know him. You do. Show me who he is. Introduce me.
And we raised the standards so high in the church that oftentimes, and I know you're familiar with it, both of you all are. I ask people to come to church, they tell me I gotta wait till I get myself together, because they don't believe they on a level that they need, the level they need to be on to come into the house of God. And I tell people, wear what you got, man. I'm like, I ain't come to judge the world. I can, that the world might be saved through me. You know what I'm saying? I can't help it.
Yeah, I think I was talking about this with a few guys, fun enough, playing pool, and I said, the two stories that Jesus, or that was a part of Jesus' lives when you look in the New Testament, was the one when he's talking to Mary Magdalene, and she's the town harlot, she's all over the place. This man didn't say anything negative towards her. He said, you know what, you've had a lot of husbands, but I tell you what, just turn that way and don't do it again. I didn't have to beat you down on why you were wrong. I didn't have to go into let me help you understand why you're not where I'm at. And then when I look at what he did with Judas, he knew
you was married to Paul too, wasn't you?
He was right. But like when Jesus,
I already know what you're gonna do to me.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna wash your feet anyway.
But but you know what's crazy about that? He didn't do anything but trust him more, because then he said, "Hey, Judas, the thief, I want you to watch the money, bro. You watch it, knowing that you're gonna do the wrong thing. No, you watch the money. You know what I mean? So when we look at who Jesus is, as opposed to who we are, Jesus would look at everybody that's in that, not everybody, but a lot of people that are in the church and go, you're doing it wrong. You're not leading with love. You're leading with rule and religion, and you trying to be a Pharisee, and that's not your role. I got it. I've already done all the dying for everything you do. But we just love condemning visual sin, because we don't talk about the person that causes dissension. That's worse. To be able to spread something around the church with a word. It doesn't say anything about your fist.
Yes.
It says this pierces like a sword. Right. So when you put that into play, it's like, hold on, wait a minute. This is the most powerful thing I have. I can literally kill somebody with this.
You preaching,
right? I was going to say you preaching now, brother, because that's so true.
And so when I'm truly passionate about. I don't think I'm some people will tell me the same thing, Pastor. Hey, you should be a pastor, and I go, no, that's not really my calling. My calling is to be a minister of the word, because that's all of our calling.
That's
but
good.
when I talk to people,
right.
My job is just like, hey, you don't have to be an outcast to be in here, because everybody that was in the Bible was an outcast. Everybody that we read about was cast out, and that's who he used. So actually,
he used broken
probably in the best seat. You got the best seat in the house.
But you know, the good thing about it is that we kind of overlook sometimes. Jesus' secular job, he is a carpenter, so he used to putting stuff back together again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know, he wasn't in the demolition business where I look at a house, oh, we should tear that down. No, hold on, we might make some out of that. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah. It may not be able to be a dresser, but it can be a coffee table.
I like that, guys. I like that. He puts stuff back together again. Pastor Mike, you haven't heard. I have a testimony too, many testimonies of things that God has brought me through. And I said, Lord, one day I said, why am I going through all this? And he said, because I'm going to use you, and I can't have you looking down on anybody for anything. So I'm taking you to your lowest point so you can know where I've brought you from, and never look down on anybody for anything. And how many times do we walk in church? Thank you, Jesus. We walk in church and we don't want to speak to people. We only talk to our clique of people. We don't see the person that's sitting over in the corner, just sitting there. Maybe they might be a little stinky. Maybe they might be just alone and lonely. But we should be setting our sights on the person that looks like they're alone. The person that's looking to be greeted. Our sights should be set on those people, and not all the buddies that we know. And then so we got to get out of just saying, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. No, if you tore up from the floor up, then say so. So but you can't say it to everybody. Like you said earlier, you can't have everybody as your mentor. But Pastor Mike, before we get ready to go, we thank you so much for being. Do we have any more minutes, Robert?
No, we
got a few. Well, Pastor Mike, we thank you so much for being our guest today. And you just said something key. I have been looking for a man that does vision boards. We got 2 women. We got another man. We wanted another man. So we want to have you come back at the beginning of the years. We are here, and we're going to do a vision board panel discussion on helping people to see the vision for their lives, helping people to journal, whether they put it on a board, whether they start a journaling, but to put the vision before them so that they can start walking in the path that God has for them and see those things come off like, wow, I spoke about this and now it's happening in my life. And so your book, My Father's Blood, buy the book, go to MikeCRobinson.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
MikeCRobinson.com. Buy the book, My Father's Blood. Go to YouTube today. What's it called? Not YouTube. Go to YouTube, but go to Tubi. And go watch My Father's Blood, epic movie about the memoirs. And more importantly, the movie has messages. And these messages just happen to be. Yes. So people can go and watch it. We thank you again for being our guest this evening. Rob, I know you like to ask a question to all of our guests before we leave.
So my question was going to be, what are your top 3 places that you would tell somebody to come visit just in the state of Michigan? I always like to say Detroit. It's something where if somebody was asking, hey, where should I go? What would be your top 3 places or top 3 sites that you would want somebody to see?
Myself?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I like, it's a nice restaurant on Northwestern Highway called Lily Mays.
Oh, yeah.
It's expensive, and it's a very nice atmosphere. I think you'll love it. If you're in Detroit area, please, in the summertime, go down to the Riverwalk. You'll have a ball. It's very nice. It's very, very peaceful and relaxing. And last but not least, go to Ypsilanti Community Church. It's at 33
There you
South
go.
I was waiting on that one. I was waiting on that one.
Ypsilanti, Michigan, 11:30.
All right, y'all. Well, we thank you guys for tuning in to Community Update 313. I'm Rob White. That's Michelle White. Thank you, Pastor Mike Robinson. We appreciate y'all. Y'all enjoy your day.